I can't plow into it now, so I hope we don't get much tomorrow. We're supposed to get a little touch tomorrow too, you know?
Anybody out walking their dog?
I think Judy's supposed to be here, isn't she? She didn't. I just know Joe said he wasn't going to make it. So. Major streets. Right after that one. So, is Kim not coming tonight either? No. Kim's not. Okay. Oh, where'd Barry go? As soon as he gets back, we're gonna get going.
Or you can just look at this printout.
I don't know if this will be helpful for my budget. But
Okay. Yeah, we're getting recorded. Yep.
I really would.
Yeah. He's on the phone. Like Rob says, she's coming on the 29th.
I saw that check. Is it leap year?
I did too when it was first
yeah.
down. I was like, when is the next leap year?
I think it's 2025.
25?
Yeah.
Did you get a hold of her?
Yeah, she's on her way.
Okay.
She was at the Toyota dealer getting her car worked on.
Okay. Was she like close by or like 5
Said
minutes or?
she'll be here in 5 minutes.
All right. Timer.
She's speeding. Wells is working, you won't even see her.
We're gonna start off on major streets then. I think it's where we left off, or which one do you want to do first?
Gonna open with, people from the general fund that wanted to talk about their own funds that we went over last night.
Okay. So,
Then we'll
the
go
rec
on
one.
break.
Okay. So we'll talk about this one first. was at lunch today. Yeah, Rotary lunch. And I was sitting with some guys. And they said, "Oh, I heard you on the radio this morning." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Boy," he goes, "you got to get somebody from Gladstone over to Escanaba to fix things up." I said, "Well, they got their own share. They can have their problems."
That's right.
Boy, that new city manager's got a lot of mess to straighten out over there.
Yeah. I don't want to step in that puddle. You know, that's just a mess.
Did Judy forget?
No, she had a car appointment that took longer than she thought. She said, "Oh, Kim." Said, "Well, Kim's on the road right now too, so."
Is Kim not coming tonight? Okay, she won't be here either. Okay.
She has to take her mom down to, sometimes her mom's having some problems with her eyes. She had to go
Oh,
down to
okay.
Ann Arbor.
Oh, jeez.
Vicky's sick and Patty's sick.
Oh man.
Did you go skiing anywhere this year?
Mm-mm. I didn't do much of anything. We're not going anywhere. We're finishing our basement, and then I'm building the garage this summer. So all funds are going towards household projects. I had some friends that wanted us to go to Cancun with them in February on spring, on a break trip. I'm like,
Do you
they're
know
like,
Dave Rudden?
yeah.
He was moved into my grandma's little house next to ours.
Oh, okay.
And,
Smells
moved
like
in
food in here.
Yeah, grab some pizza.
That's all right.
on January 1st. We got back from skiing and they had the house filled floor to the ceiling with junk.
Really?
Everybody said they don't believe it, but
Really?
there's something going on in his head.
Oh, really? Some dementia or something?
He had a little cave in the living room where he had his sleeping bag.
Wow.
What the heck?
The refrigerator was filled with rotten food.
Oh my
What are
gosh.
we talking about?
Dave Rudd.
My ex-tenant.
Oh. I can see why.
Wow.
Yikes.
Sorry about that, but it was that emergency light came on and I called the dealer and they said, bring it in right now, we'll take care of it.
They get it fixed?
Yeah, at
Oh.
4 o'clock I had a slight emission problem. Not me, my vehicle. Of course, I probably could be considered I had an emission problem also, but
I have about 4 of those lights on. I just cover them with electric.
Yeah, I can fix that, yeah.
well, this one sounded a little bit more severe, so.
The stupid tire sensors. None of them work.
No.
And it's
I got
expensive to replace them. It's,
my truck's got that on. I just ignored.
Okay.
All right, we ready to go?
Settled in.
Ready?
okay.
All right, we'll call to order the Gladstone City Commission budget work session for February 28th, 2023. So, first of all, public comment. Anybody public? No, so we'll move right on to budget issues. Where are we starting tonight, Eric?
We're gonna do just a quick final recap of the general fund. The guys are gonna speak about their departments and what they have planned. So we start with Barry with Public Works.
Start with me?
Yeah, did you wanna say anything about the admin fund and Public Works? or
Yeah, yeah,
Forestry or the cemetery?
yeah. Eric had made the comment last night that, what we spend on public works is very small compared to other communities. And it's not because we are, how do I say it,
Barry,
efficient in our jobs.
do you want to hand him the mic?
It's not because we're efficient in our job, which hopefully we are, but we've cut a lot of stuff out of our budget in the last few years as far as stuff. We have this year we're looking to replace our AMZ machine. It's for patching streets. It's a 1982 model. We had to cut that. We possibly can get it in the street funds, but that's something that's. And also, I looked at a couple of years ago. We did we had a SAW grant for asset management for both stormwater and wastewater. And I was looking at that today, and in that asset management plan, they said within the next 20 years we should be spending $2.5 million on our stormwater, $25,000 a year to upgrade that, and we haven't spent nothing. Well, we spent $60 or $60,000 this year on it, but we're falling behind on that also. And we brought up the building last night. That was something else that keeps getting pushed back. But as far as the cemetery goes, we're doing good on that. We got just about everything done up there. We got a little bit more to do on the sign. I was working with a local company here, but I've been having a hard time to get them to give me feedback on the letters for the sign, so I'm gonna go somewhere else. But as far as the Mary Cretan's money goes up there, we've done basically everything we want to do up there, and as Eric pointed out last night, a lot of that money's going toward the BS&A software and other stuff in the city to help that out. So we have no real big purchases in that, other than we went through and the milling machine at 20,000 and a roller at 30, and those are both going to be used equipment. Find something that's used online or local company that's getting rid of something. We don't need nothing fancy on that.
Are you replacing this guy?
No, that's our backup. Forestry, like Eric had said last night there, we're not really planting any trees as far as the forestry goes because we had to cut that out. Also, we're gonna do some more ash removal and hopefully some stump removal this year. We got 80 stumps in town that we have to remove yet.
Oh, jeez.
That's, you spend you spend money on removing a stump, or do you spend money on removing a tree that's dangerous?
Right.
You do the tree first, yes.
Yeah.
Nothing big on alley maintenance, just standard alley maintenance, and actually alley maintenance is offset by the utility funds. Whatever we spend in the alleys comes out of solid waste with both wastewater, water, and electric. Grounds maintenance, there's nothing special there. Just keeping business as usual on that. The equipment pool, like I say, we just got those few pieces of equipment and we had to cut the one out. But other than that, it's a pretty bare bones budget for us as far as that goes.
You had mentioned the stormwater issue.
Yeah.
Is there something we can look at to fund that? I hate to say another charge, but is there something that we could set up to?
A lot of communities that I've noticed have gone to a stormwater fee for every
Right.
lot in town. And that's something that we should probably be looking at.
I know we never like to talk about charging residents more, but if it's something that is going to need, if we can keep up on it ahead of time instead of letting something deteriorate to the point that it's going to cost
Yes.
2 or 3 times more to fix once it's in complete non-functioning.
Yeah, and most our stuff in the ground is 40 to 50 years plus old, so its life expectancy is getting up there.
How, you mentioned about 125,000, is that a recommendation from the state?
No, that's through our asset management plan
Okay.
that we had done.
Okay.
They had broken it down in.
Yep, okay. What, do you know off the top of your head, like what type of, how that might be set up with a stormwater fund to, you know, what the charge would be? Or how we would calculate that? Is that where they like calculate like the roof sizes and lot sizes
Yes.
with runoff?
Yeah, it's big, but a lot of them do like at 3,000 square feet of impervious surface, basically hard
Right.
surface. Zero to 3,000 is $1 a month, and for every 3,000 square feet you got is $1 extra, you know. And probably 90% of the people would fall in that $1 a month range, you know, if we did $1 or whatever, you know.
Is that something we should be looking at?
I think so. You know,
So-
we need to get funding somewhere for that, and that way you would, the people that use it the most would pay the most. You know, right now, we have a lot of large buildings, or I'll take the school for instance, they use their stormwater system quite a bit, because everything from their buildings drain into it, and
Right.
Parking lot?
and parking
Parking
lots and
lot.
all that, and they pay nothing in general fund taxes.
Right. So we could,
Churches.
Church is another one, you know,
so we could, they would have to pay into that fund, they're not
Yes.
exempt from those
yes.
type of funds.
Because it would be a utility.
It would be a
essentially.
utility fund, yes. You know, and stormwater is the most expensive piece of pipe to put in the ground compared to water or sewer, but
Okay.
there's no, like I say, there's no funding mechanism for it right now.
Is that something that we'd have to adopt during a budget, or can that be set up before we set rates?
I think that would be a rate. I'm not sure. I don't know, Eric, would you have any?
Do it either way. We have a whole month yet to adopt the budget, so if you want us to look into that.
I think if you know, just looking at it or sitting here thinking about it right now, if, you know, if it's a utility, it should be done at the time we do the utility.
Well, that's what I was
you know,
thinking, if it's a
fees.
utility, when we set
Yeah.
the rates in
June.
June.
June
and they
for
take-
August 1st.
For August 1st. That way you wouldn't be rushed to do it, you know. But if that's something maybe you can put together and bring to us.
Sure, I'll look at it and see what other community, Marquette's got a pretty good program
Do
there.
they? Okay.
Yeah, I'll take a look at what
Do
they
any
got.
other smaller communities do it? I mean, I'm trying to.
Downstate there is, up here I don't think so.
I know Menominee does it.
Oh,
Menominee does it?
too?
Iron Mountain or Norway, do you know?
Not that I know of.
No?
I'll look at their utility, or their fee schedules, and you can
Okay.
usually tell on that.
Okay.
I'll start doing some research on that.
Yeah, do something on that. I'd hate to let this just, you know, another thing we're looking at instead of just keeping up on
Yeah,
100,000 so a year instead of now we got to go out for, 10 million in grants because the whole system needs major work.
yeah, and like I say, we spent a little over 60,000 this year, and the only reason we had that money is it's the COVID money that had to be spent on
Right on
water or storm
yep.
or sanitary, and we split it between the three of us.
So take a look at that and let us know.
Yes, sure will.
Okay, next up would be Ron. Public safety.
Yesterday, I handed out a pamphlet. I don't know if everybody still has it or not, but kind of what I'll go by. The first page is the overview. Eric covered that pretty well yesterday in probably a better fashion than you see in front of you here. But the 301 budget, that's our police budget that you see there. And if you're going from left to right, the current fiscal year, we're at like 1.7 million. You're actually going to see the proposed budget for the next fiscal year is 1.68, so it actually decreased, which is the first time that I've seen that. So, $10,509 is decreasing. The 336 budget, that's the fire budget. You can see the current fiscal year is 147,000, And the proposed budget for 23-24 is 153,840, so an increase of $6,615 on the fire side. The 302 budget, that's the K-9, current fiscal year, 3,125. Proposed budget for 23-24 is $9,875, so an increase of 6,750. That's all donations. None of that is out of the general fund. That's out of our donation. So that's kind of an overview of the three budgets on our side there. Police, fire, and K-9. The next page is just some of the cuts that we had to make, from the first proposal to the second proposal to what we're proposing right now. You can see that I cut from my first proposal, which was almost $2 million, cut $303,395 out of it. Some of the cuts is I was hoping that we would be able to fund a school resource officer. We had to cut that out. We haven't funded the police vehicle CIP. That's the money that we put forward to purchase vehicles in the future. This will be the second or third year that we haven't funded that. You see some other miscellaneous things that we reduced. Pretty minimal. I guess the other big one that I see is that, unfortunately, we've been budgeted for 10 officers for quite some time. We're budgeted for 9 now. So not only did we lose an SRO position, we're losing a PSO position too. Ballistic vests we have to purchase. They're 5 years. They expire in 5 years, so 2023 they're due to be expired. I had that in the general fund to purchase ballistic vests, but we had to move that to Gordon Olson funds. So I guess the big purchases on the police side, again, is the ballistic vests. The quote for that, I had 10 originally, because we had 10 officers, but that quote came in at $8,327.50 for the new ballistic vests. If you reduce that by one, it's approximately $7,500. Will come out of the Gordon Olson fund for our ballistic vests. The other big purchase that we need to make sooner than later is body cams. The ones we have now, I guess you'll say we're low bid and they're not working out. The body cam market has skyrocketed because I know all police officers need them now. At least that's my opinion. So we would really like to get Axon body cams. We're testing them right now. They sent us a camera. Aaron Quinlan is testing it. They sent us the software. He really likes it. He thinks it's it'd be a great purchase. But you're looking at over $50,000 over the next 5 years. So $10,100 for the next 5 years for that purchase. It's a big expense, and we would be looking at taking that out of the Gordon Olson funds. If you see on here, I haven't been able to meet with Vicki to do an audit, but I did a brief audit today just before I came here, and I originally put $60,000 left on there. I think it's more towards $48,000 left in there. So if you look at it, I don't think we're going to have enough to do both.
On the school resource officer, is there any funding available?
Yeah, the school resource officer, what we're looking at here is the school. We're the only agency in Delta County who does not supply a school resource officer. Delta County has one, Escanaba has one, the sheriff department has a school resource officer. The school has been paying, I believe it's 50%. 50% for that officer. The problem we got is, even with that 50%, I don't think we can sustain that position with the way the general fund is right now. It's something I hate to miss out on, but
I know.
It's still, we've got to pay 50%, and we're losing a position. We had 10 officers, now we're losing one, going down to 9. I can't really afford to take somebody off the road and put them into school, because then I'm another guy short on the road. But the school, again, they're paying 50% of benefits and wages for that officer. The next page, you can see these numbers might be, need to be adjusted a little bit, but it's PSO positions per population, and I have all the public safety departments in the UP. You can see that we're at 1.7 officers per thousand, which is the lowest in the UP. Escanaba is at 2.4, Kingsford's at 3.9, Ironwood's at 2.2 officers, and Manistee is like 2.6. Again, some of those departments are probably trying to seek applicants too because they're shorthanded. The next page, we just talked about the school resource officer. Again, they're paying 50%, but
There's it, there, I didn't get
Yep.
to that page.
yep, we jumped ahead a
That was
little
my
bit.
question.
Again, no large increase in the fire budget, $6,615. The reason for that increase is just, a short little, small little wage increase for Angel. I added 5 more hours to each volunteer. We used to budget 62 hours per volunteer. Last year, or this current fiscal year, we dropped that to 50 hours per volunteer. But now the state is saying that we have to have each volunteer and each public safety officer has to have 12 hours of training in a year. That's mandatory, so 36 hours in a 3-year period. So I bumped it up 5 hours, it's 55 hours per volunteer now. And again, just I raised the IT fees just because we were over this current fiscal year and our electric was over, so I raised those a little bit too. So that's where you're gonna get the extra $6,615. Some of the cuts from the fire that I made from my first proposal was $176,000. So I cut $22,250 out of that. And again, we're not funding the new fire truck. We haven't done that in a couple of years either. I was looking at starting to replace our SCBA bottles because we had a big purchase in 2016. We got 36 bottles, carbon wrap bottles. So in another 15 years, you're going to have to replace all of those bottles at one time. So I thought, well, let's replace 2 a year. So we just avoid that big expense all at once. Unfortunately, I had to cut that out of that budget too. So. Other than that, that's about it for the fire. The total cuts from my first proposal, which is always high every year, it's always high. You start out high and then you whittle it down. But the total cuts for police and fire was $325,645 altogether. K-9 again, we budgeted $9,875. Again, that's all from donations. We have that. We have about 18,000 left. Maybe a little bit more now since we got some more donations. Pretty similar to last year. All the lines are similar to last year: material supplies and education and training, medical. So again, that all comes out of donations. Revenues are about the same. Eric covered that yesterday. The main thing with the revenue is we're transferring $30,000 from the Gordon Olson Fund, and then $9,875 from the K-9 Fund. So there's most of your revenue right there. That's about it. I just put some comments on there. If you if you read through those, the one thing that kind of concerns me, and I get it with the current budget that we're at here, going down an officer, but where I'm really hurting with the department is I don't have any specialized positions left. I'm currently the only firearms instructor left in our department. Todd Crow used to be the main guy. He did all the ammo ordering, inventory, and he was our main firearms guy. Well, I'm the only one left, so I have to do that now too. Defensive tactics instructor, I don't have any left other than me. Field training officer, we don't have any any field training officers. So we have a really good program. Whenever we hire somebody, we put them through 14 weeks of field training. I'll be honest, with the last 6 people we hired, 7 now, we haven't been able to do that because I don't have any FTOs left other than me and Eric Quinlan. So we just don't have the time to do it. Evidence tech, Mike Williamson is our evidence tech. He can retire anytime. Active shooter instructor, again, Todd Kroll used to do it, so I'm the only one certified to do it now. Civilian active shooter instructor, we used to go into the schools and private businesses and teach them about active shooters. We don't have any instructor in that anymore since Todd's gone. And then armor, we do all our own armor type stuff. If a handgun or a rifle breaks, Todd Kroll used to do that again, so again, I'm the only one left that can do that armor stuff. So we need some specialized positions sooner than later.
Is that something that if you had the funding, you could train people for? Or you
Not
would you need to
in-house, we'd
hire?
have to send them to a school.
That's what I mean, you could, there's people that,
Yeah, I mean, you're talking firearms instructor
What does that
school
cost?
is, probably $2,000 just for the school, and then you got lodging and backfilling. It's expensive, but unfortunately, we lost all our specialized positions, and so we've been kind of lacking there, especially with the field training. Other than that, we started, I'll just touch on the cadet program, not to make it too long here, but we started a cadet program. We have 3 cadets right now. They're doing really well, show a lot of ambition, they ask a lot of questions. It's really going good. Again, my thought is that, if we can ever get a chance to sponsor one of those cadets through the academy, it would be great, because what better way to get to know somebody than have them come in, work with us, we get to know them, we get to train them, and then possibly hire them and send them through the academy. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen this year either, so. That's about it.
I just had a question, because I'm not familiar with if it's ever been addressed. Has there ever been anything done about a special police assessment, public safety area and the city of special assessment?
No, Vicki and
Are
I,
there-
Vicki and I have been working on the possibility of looking at a millage. Our millage rate's been at the same rate since 1969.
Okay.
And the way it looks and looking at the numbers for this year, it would be, you'd probably be looking at a 4 mil increase. And that would cover public safety to where they should be, and it would help out Barry a lot in his equipment and some of his storm sewer, and then you have the rec department also.
Do you know if there are any special assessment districts in the UP or not?
For public safety?
Yeah.
No. I don't-
It's not a popular thing, but downstate it's pretty common that happens. Takes a lot of doing and a lot
doesn't
of...
Iron Mountain charge a millage?
Honestly, I don't know.
They-
The
they-
only experience I have with a millage increase dedicated to public safety, again, is when I worked downstate for the Kentwood Police Department. They did 2 millage increases dedicated to police and fire when I was down there, but that was,
It probably was a special
15 years ago.
assessment district, yeah.
no, it wasn't special
No.
assessment, it was actually millage
Millage.
increases.
Okay.
They did it twice in the 10 years I was down there. They both passed. They were on the ballot, they both passed. And when I worked on it, we had like 16 officers one time, and yeah, that's the only experience I have with any millage increase dedicated for public safety or the general fund, I should say.
It's a lot of work to promote it, but I think in the long run, people are usually a little bit more tuned in to what the necessity is, and so I guess I would.
Well, I guess, I think we all realize something has to give
Right.
sooner or later, right? And it's not just public safety, it's
Well,
the
it affects
entire
other.
general
Right.
fund.
Right, I mean, it affects,
But yeah, we can't keep
Well, the
operating like,
thing with that now is a lot of stuff that should be funded in the general fund is being pushed, either
Right.
forgotten or pushed out to, like Ally's. That should be a general fund item, but the utilities are paying for it, so you're trying to.
So we're willing to look at any way of increasing our funding. For years, we were proud of the fact that we were increasing our tax base to the point where we were covering general, just overall inflation, which happens to the general fund, but it's not happening anymore.
Yeah, you just
So-
can't
No.
keep pushing it all away
Yeah.
because
So-
it exists and something has to be done. Not
yeah,
just.
we all get to the point where I don't know how much more you could cut from the general fund budgets. I mean, just,
yeah, I mean,
it's just, I don't think this is anything special to Gladstone. I'm sure every municipality goes through.
No,
this
and that's the
too,
thing, I
but,
think if
Yeah.
we talk about it and look at it, I don't think anybody's going, oh, Gladstone's getting all expensive or something like that. I think that it's just realistic where if we did look at it, I think we'd be ahead,
Yeah.
ahead of the curve where some communities are just, they're facing these budget deficits too.
Maybe each one of us in the general fund can talk. I mean, Barry talked about cuts he had to make, and I talked about cuts I have to make.
No, that's
and,
what I mean,
it's just,
we asked them, look at that stormwater. Thought,
Yeah.
if we have to do something like that to
Yep.
address those issues, maybe
Yep.
we have to, the way to do it.
it's
for
never
your
good when you go
department is
down
to-
an officer,
No,
And, the school resource officer is a big push. It's something that I really want to see happen.
and I think that
It's
would be
very
a,
important, to have somebody in the schools. At least that's my opinion.
Well, it's somewhat embarrassing to know that we're the only one that doesn't have.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the community,
And
if
the
they
school,
realize that.
I keep in contact with the schools. What I'm doing is I'm having officers up there now. I had them make a little office, so day shift officers are up at the high school a lot. We got a computer up there so they can do the reports. Instead of coming back to the department, they can do the reports there, but that's not enough. We're up there quite a bit anyway. So it's something I'd really like to see happen
I would
sometime.
think that most of the citizens aren't even aware of that. That's part
Well,
of the problem.
that's why I put it in here. It's
Yeah.
something that I think needs to be known. so.
what would the mechanism be for getting a millage issue on the ballot? Kim's not here, but, I mean,
First, we would get the language writ. First, we have to figure out how many mills. We are the lowest millage rate in the UP,
yes, we are.
and unfortunately, our other taxing entities have been rolling along and increasing their millage. So people always blame the high taxes on the city when we're the
Right, right.
And look at what Marquette's doing. They just raised theirs and they're going to raise it again.
yeah.
So I think that's something that we should look at too.
I
I mean,
agree.
I
Judy
echo
had
your
brought
comments.
up a special assessment district for public safety or whatever. What's nice about that, or a fee thing, is you get the entities that don't pay taxes to contribute.
Correct.
Okay, so that would
Yes.
get the schools, churches.
Schools,
I know.
churches, the-
And how would a special assessment district, what would that encompass? Could it be, does it have to be like a DDA thing, or is it how does that work? I'm not as sure how that works. Do you know
I'd
how
have to do
that works?
I'd have to do some research on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and I don't know how the laws have changed. I actually had one when I was a township treasurer supervisor. We did one in Carlton Township as a little 7,000 community, and it was hard and it was a lot of work. But once we shared it with the community and gave them that information, that they're not aware of it. I guarantee you they're not aware of what's going on. Even though we try with all our public hearings and that, people are busy in their lives. But if you send out something that says, guess what's going to increase, that door will be bing, bing, bing. And that's our opportunity to sell them on things. It's not like it's a negative thing. You got to have a spark that brings them in to make them curious about things.
I certainly think we have the material, not only public safety, but
Yeah.
Barry and everybody
Yeah.
in the general fund. You know,
Right.
Eric made a good point when we had our budget meetings together, is keep track of everything you have to cut. And that's kind of why I came up with this PowerPoint. I mean, when you're not funding fire trucks, you're not funding patrol cars anymore. And, you know, that's not
That's
good.
why I thought it was good the way we did it this year with the three, it was 3 steps. They weren't fun steps, but it was 3 steps, so we can go back and look maybe to step 2 or to step 1 and we can figure out what a millage increase would look like or what a
Yeah.
special assessment would look like.
Either one of those, I would say, let's investigate that and see.
Can
Where
we
we
assess them on what their police records are?
Well,
Boy, boy. That might be a new law.
But I think we should look at that if it
Yep.
needs to be a ballot issue or if we can do a special assessment district. I don't know how that,
It still has
Goes
to go
into-
to the vote of the people. Special
Right.
assessment
Either way,
district.
yeah.
But it gives you an opportunity to siphon out all the things that you want for that district, and then it frees up the monies in the general
well, and
fund.
that's another way to
Yeah.
sell, so we can get more
Correct.
DPW, you can get new equipment there and still fund the needs that public safety has to be where they want to be.
It's kind of a shame too, because I didn't bring it up. But there's grants to send somebody through the academy now too. But again, once they get out of the academy, we can't support that position right now. So we're missing out on these big grants to sponsor somebody through the academy just because we can't support that position after they get done.
I think if we get some more information on those avenues, it's definitely something we need to look at. That would just trickle down across the board.
And we can't leave out the rec department because we
Oh,
are
oh, no.
a
Absolutely not.
year-round playground, just because
Yeah.
Jason hasn't
That's what I'm
spoke
saying.
yet.
It kind of affects
It-
everybody.
it frees
A lot of
up
the people over
funds.
there.
Yeah.
I think Jason would like another one on his staff too, right? I saw that on your question mark or on your comments there.
Yeah, Judy, there's a sheet right there, between you and Eric, sent to you and Eric.
Oh. Thank you.
All right, so I'll go over that sheet and just kind of review the different departments we have within our department, I guess you should say. So our rec admin budget, we're looking to keep on the office administration, assistant position. She's not just an office assistant either. She goes to the campground, to the harbor. She works the concessions. She cleans bathrooms. She does venues. So she kind of is like almost a utility player. So she's all over the place. Just basically an extra worker for us in our department. And on top of that, she does office stuff as well. So, and we're looking to cover that with $10,000 of Mayor Creighton's money as well. So it's partially funded for her to add that position. So and then the beautification, $15,000 that we're looking to spend this year. That would be all covered by the DDA fund. So that's a wash for the DDA for the beautification. And then in the parks, we're looking to for our Mayor Creighton's fund, we have that partially funds some of that as far as the payroll. $4,000 goes towards the payroll for the parks, and then we're looking to purchase a used tractor that we've been using through Northgate last year for $9,000. So It's a used Gravely tractor. It's only a few years old, so it's not, it's in really good condition. Looking to purchase that next year. The ice rink, we haven't had the ice rink open. We didn't open it this year because of the weather. Last year, we had it open for about 3 weeks. And the weather was kind of played in that as well, so we're looking to have no ice rink and cut that cost for next year and use that money that we usually typically use to fund that ice rink for other things in our department. So, and that was, I think we talked about it yesterday, it was typically we spend $11,000 for the ice rink. So, and then if you go to the sports park, the major cost we have in the sports park this next year is the bunny motor and the gearbox. We had to get it fixed this year. The lead time for a new gearbox was like 8 to 9 weeks. So in order to get that going this year, we had to rebuild the one we have. So the one we have. So we're looking to purchase a new gearbox and motor next year. And they're both from the 1930s, so they're pretty old. I mean, they're definitely dinosaurs. So and that's $8,000 from the Mayor Creedon's fund. And then we're looking to take in $67,000 from ticket sales and concessions next year as well. So hopefully we can hit just under $11,000 for the sports park cost to the general fund next year, as well as $8,500 for rental and $3,000 for paddles and cleats for the and ropes for the hill. So. And the other rec facilities, the biggest item there obviously is the boardwalk. We're hoping to write for the next round of the Sparks grant for the boardwalk. Hopefully we can get that off our list this year. And then we have some items in there as well from the Mayor Creedon's fund that's going to fund that as well. So, and if we obviously get all the revenue, it's $660,700. We're looking to spend about $10,500 for that fund. And the next one would be the programs. The biggest item in there would be the pram shack that we're looking to get from service groups this year to fund that. So we're looking to spend about $850 on our programs, which we have pram sailing and log rolling. So. Not much there. And then the beach. So the beach, last year we had the YMCA. We contracted out the YMCA to run the beach down there. They're open 35 days last year. It cost about $15,500 last year. So we're looking to cut them out this year just to save some money and keep the bathrooms open. And so that $11,000 in there will be funded by the Mayor Creedon's fund and be for cleaning the facilities down there. So there'll be no lifeguards this year. In the campground, I budgeted for revenue this year, $195,000. I said yesterday, this year we made about a little over $196,000, and the previous year we made about $202,000. So we're budgeting right around there. So we're looking at bringing in about $113,000 from the campground. And then the miscellaneous would be just majority of that. We already have 2 benches sold for this year to install for memorial benches, and then donations for that item. So we're looking at a difference from this year projected fund to next year would be about $86,000 we'd save going into this year. So.
Question, going back to the beach. You said you're not going to contract with the Y?
Yeah,
So the $11,000 that you have from the Mary Creedon's fund is for, you said operations. What is that again?
Yeah, so the biggest thing down there would be for the bathrooms cleaning and just upkeep of the beach, would be grooming the beach, cleaning the beach.
Clean the beach.
It's pretty busy down there, so there's a lot of standing cleaning. We spend a lot of time in the bathrooms cleaning up sand. We spend a lot of time cleaning up trash, grooming the beach. We groom the beach. We try to do it every day in the morning. So there's a lot of cost. It's kind of keeping that beach looking nice.
you do a good job. I mean, I get a lot of I work and go to meetings in Escanaba, and I get a lot of compliments. And the beach here is just so much better than what Escanaba does.
Yeah, I mean, well,
Yeah.
I'm getting a quote on just moving forward, just keep the lifeguards there on the weekends.
Okay.
It would be nice to have lifeguards down there, because I mean, it's, in the past, we would put the slide in the water without lifeguards, kids just climb all over it, and they just didn't take care of it, nobody really monitors them, so when they're down there, just to monitor it, just, because I know if we keep that slide down there, we're gonna call out, I wonder why the slide is being
I just had a question on the ice rink. How much is that used on a good year?
So, I think the last, I don't know, when we moved down to the beach house. So when we first moved down to the beach house, the first 2 years it was high water. So we would lay ice down there. The first year we laid ice, it looked beautiful. And then we would go to plow it, and the water was so high underneath it, underneath wasn't froze, and we just sank through and made ruts and everything like that. So we had to couldn't open it for the first 2 years. So we had opened one good year. So we tried to we get the word out, but I think it's the first year it was kind of people didn't know it was there. It's always been at the Jones School all the time. So then after that we had to close it last year because of the weather, and this year we had to close it because of the weather. So it's not used as much as it's been at the Jones at all, but we get a lot of phone calls asking where the ice rink is, so we try to put it out there so people know about it, but I think it's a new thing, and it's our only place we have, other than the sports park, that'd be a warming hub where people can come inside and warm up, that type of thing. So unless we get back over at the Jones School, but they've been using that building for the high school baseball boosters, use that as a storage unit, store their stuff there, and so it's
Well, when you're talking about getting a lot of phone calls, is it just the same person calling over and over again, or is it a variety of individuals?
No, it's different people. I mean, we get kids out there to play hockey out there.
Yeah.
We bring a bunch of group of friends out there to play hockey. People just go out there just to learn how to skate and get the skates, that type of thing.
I mean, I just look at it, ice skating used to be the big thing when
Yeah.
I was at a younger age, but,
Yeah, so years ago we used to have our own skates down there too, but they're kind of all getting old. So we try to put
Yeah.
some money in there for new
I
skates
think
that
it's-
work out.
yeah.
We want to compete with local businesses, and people love going down there ice skating. It's just the location isn't the best, and the water's high. And it's not the best,
I just think it might be an evolutionary thing where their interest isn't as good, and I look at that money and I think about the beach not having lifeguards there, and could you not use that there and explain to people that, the ice rink wasn't being used or isn't being used, and I don't know if that's a true statement or not. When it was high and everybody liked it there, was it a thing that brought folks in, or was it just one of those, locals came in and used it, and that was about it?
I mean, people like it at the Jones School property.
Uh-huh.
It's by the water, and the wind coming off the lake right there. It's not the ideal spot, in my opinion, but it's a spot that we could figure out beauty right there. So I mean, so we moved money from ice rink to other spots already. So
Right, yeah, I
try to-
realize
try to
that,
kind of
but,
see if we could,
Mhm.
move money around so we can make it.
I just wonder whether it's a valid investment in the community for an ice rink, or if there are other options available, like lifeguards at the beach as a trade-off, not this year, but in the future. Just my
Yeah, I mean,
personal-
Yeah,
Okay,
people's
that's
interests change. And
Yeah,
I agree.
and we hold on to those that because we did it when we were kids, we still got to keep that. Well, sometimes we don't have to keep it.
Yeah, and I know, like, I didn't have any restaurants up and going this year as well.
Okay.
Other people would, trip complex, they have ice skating there, so I don't, I don't know, I mean, is it like, it's like our basketball course, like, we won't, kids don't play basketball anymore, you know, so I mean, I don't know yet if it's like
Yeah,
that, you
yeah.
know.
I guess that the point I'm trying to make is that, you know, we can't hold on to everything
Right.
and have everything here, but the ones
Yeah,
that
I
are
mean,
important to the citizens, yes.
I thought when we moved it from the Jones School that year, I thought there was quite a few people over there, you know,
Okay.
so. Like I said, the first 2 years, it was kind of a bust because of high water levels and
Mm.
the freeze that, you know,
Okay, thank you.
Okay, who's next?
I would say, in my opinion, this isn't Jason's opinion, that if you had to choose between lifeguards and the ice rink, that lifeguards would be, just because I walk that shoreline every day and that beach is
Loaded.
busy.
Yes.
And
Not just with children, but with
It
adults that
can
may or
be,
may not know how to swim very well.
Right.
we're-
No, I agree. I mean, I would,
Yeah.
if we could, I mean, if we didn't have to make the cuts this year, the first thing I'd put back in would be lifeguards. I mean, I definitely think that, you know, people are used to lifeguards. They drop their kids off and they hope the lifeguards will watch them, you know, so it's not everybody, but it's like, you see a lot of kids out there and, you know, they're all over that slide, they're all over, you know, in the water, you know, and you know, so it's,
It's a liability more so than a liability with the ice rink for injuries or things of that.
yeah, yeah.
You done?
Okay, we're gonna go right back to Barry and you do a brief synopsis of the major street budget for this year.
I've got a little handout here for you. This is our paving for this year.
Okay.
Just to- Major street fund, as you can see, that money from, what is that, 3-4 years ago, they did the gas tax increase, and your plates went up. That's finally hit us in the last couple of years, and up until then, we had about between the two funds, we had about $440,000 a year for everything we do on the streets. I'm lumping the two funds together right now. And this year, we're almost 900,000 between the two, so it's more than double. That's why you're seeing us doing paving and chip sealing and, you know, preventative maintenance, because we do have money. That's one of the bright sides, basically, of my department. We're looking at the big ones this year, capital improvement projects, is the Laurie Avenue 18th Street project there that I sent you the map there. There's almost a mile. I believe it's almost a mile of paving there, and that's 300 and I don't have it right in front of me, but about 360,000, 50,000. Which we're looking at assessing, what was it, Eric, 175, you remember?
Yeah, somewhere between 150 and 175.
Yeah, it was right around about 170, keeping it right around 20 bucks a foot, you know, which is what we've been trying to keep assessments at, basically at 50/50. That is the big project for the major streets this year. We're also looking at chip sealing, another 50 grand in chip sealing on a major street. We did that the last 2 years, and I really like it. Your street down by you there, Greg?
Yeah, it's worked out really well,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, it's cheap.
Who's doing that now?
Farner,
Okay.
out of Iron River.
Iron River, that's right, yeah. We didn't say that. What about the South Hill Road, Blackwell?
That
That's
is
getting-
on 2026 for federal aid.
That's why I remember that. I think
Yes.
you or Eric had mentioned like that's getting
That's getting
Rough.
bad. And
that ditch.
And hopefully, I'm looking because the state of Michigan started a they'll do a federal buyout, because they will use the federal funds on their own at 90 cents on a dollar. So if we can do that earlier, or even in the 26, we should do that, because without us having to jump through all the hoops you have to for federal aid, we can do the same job for about 60% of what federal aid job costs you when you
Okay.
start messing with the feds in the state.
Sure.
So hopefully we can bump that up a little bit, but yeah, we're on for 2020.
So is the city maintaining that shoulder and that ditch?
Yeah,
Okay. I know you're doing the best you can, but that thing's
Yeah,
just
it's-
caving in.
yeah. It's caved in, and you know, and that was paved in 85, I think it was.
Was that long ago? Oh
Yeah.
my God.
So
I remember when it changed over.
that was put in 84 or 85. I think it was 85. That's just off the top of my head.
Yeesh.
As far as reconstruction, there's the job is 300 right there. It is 300 in the expense side. Reconstruction is just over $300,000 for that project there that we're looking at. Non-motorized is just $2,200. Surface maintenance $126,000. That's for just the pothole filling and your stuff like that. Storm sewers, $34,000. This is some of that COVID money, $35,000. We have to find out down there on the end of Delta and Railway, we got a storm sewer that runs basically out to the lake there by the old what? Yeah, the old tank farm there, Colox. It's plugged. We don't know where it goes, what's wrong, so we gotta do some exploratory work out there to find out why.
So send someone down in there.
Like, looking for a job?
It pays enough.
Not in this budget.
And the traffic control, that's basically the striping of about $10,000 every year we spend on striping of the streets and that. And this should be our final year of doing our sign replacement. We went through the whole city on all the signs. We should just about be done this year. That was a federal obligation. We were supposed to be done by 2019, but
Oops.
we're probably one of the few that are getting it done.
Oh, okay.
Everybody, it's such an expensive undertaking that nobody can.
Really
When you're looking at a sign and a post is $200.
Really?
Yeah. We got 3,100 some signs out there. So it's expensive.
The new stop signs are really nice.
Yeah, you can really see those.
They really stick out.
Yeah.
Well, that's no good for Ronnie. That people can't say I didn't see the sign.
Well, look like you stop them anyway, is it? Winter maintenance, $143,000. That went up a few bucks. Sweeping and flushing. Same thing. Went up a few dollars. That's for street sweeping and admin. So we're looking at total expenses of $947,000 with income of $947,000 with transferring from one balance to $140,000.
How's that sealing, that sealer that you put on the new roads? How's that holding
Looks
up?
like it's holding up really well.
Yeah, from just driving on it and looking at it, looks like it is wearing
Yeah.
quite well.
You can really notice it in the morning,
Yes.
especially if there's a little bit of dew, because
Right.
the water's staying on top of the surface and it's not in, which is what you want.
Right.
You wanna seal the water out, seal the oil in, and so, but, you know, like I said, in the past, Wisconsin and Minnesota, they're doing it all over and downstate. We were the first community in the UP to do it, so I've had a few questions from other places on it.
Would you be looking to do that on this project?
Next year, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's kind of.
Seems like it's a good investment.
Standard, you pay 1 year and you seal the next.
Does that let it like cure or dry? I mean, so you know what I mean? I guess like a treated, I think of like treated lumber, you don't seal it or paint it or
Yeah.
anything after like a year. But so is that the rationale behind that? Or
The company Farner says that you can do it the same year. The only issue you have with it is the first year pavement is so slippery. New pavement is more slippery, and also with that sealing on, you got traction issues.
okay,
So they-
when it gets wet, it'd be really.
They would rather us wait, or if we paved right away in the spring, they could do it in the fall. But they said most places are,
Wait a year.
yeah, wait a year. But that's it as far as major streets go.
Might as well roll right into local streets.
Local streets, same here, we'll go through the income, no special assessments, that's all on the major street side. 239,000 from the Act 51 funds, the 4,000 build Michigan roads. Metro Act 48, 28,000, that's from all the cable companies and phone companies, if they pay into that fund to use our right of way.
Mm-hmm.
And then they pay the state to use our right of way, and the state, reimburses or cuts a check to, I don't know how they figured the formula out, but that's where that money comes from. Miscellaneous is 1,500. We can transfer up to 50% of the major street funds. We've been doing 200,000 a year to offset some of the expenses in the local streets. This year, we're looking at transferring next year, $513 out of the street, fund balance. So that,
Did you come up with the $500?
no. So we're looking at a total income of $473,607. The big capital improvement projects is, usually we've been doing 50,000 a year in chip sealing. I bumped that up to 100,000 this year on local streets. And then the crack seal, that's that treatment at GSB 88 that we'll do from last year's paving. Expenses, I won't really go through the expenses that much because it's basically the same as major street fund. The one thing that I had talked to Eric and Vicky about, well, actually two things, is right now we're projected to have almost $600,000 in our street fund balance at the end of the year. We should probably have about 300,000 because we don't have any major. We don't have a bridge yet. If $1 million bridge, if it fails, we'd have to pay for it. We don't have any large infrastructure like that. So every dollar that's sitting in our street fund that we're not using is wasted to me, I think. We should be putting it to use. So just where we come in at the end of the year, I would like to maybe throw some more money into chip sealing and also look at that piece of equipment we had to cut out of the general fund, maybe using some of this money to purchase it. Keep a fund balance at around 350,000. Be comfortable with.
That you feel good with that amount?
Oh, yeah, you know, like I say, we have no huge ticket item that if we were to blow up, we would need to,
Like an
Million
emergency
bucks.
amount.
yeah.
Yeah, the auditor's rule of the 25%, you'd still have more than 400,000 there for the two, so add it together.
Yeah. I mean, you do want to keep
Yeah.
a fund balance, but
Right.
you don't need a year's worth of fund balance.
Can a fund balance go towards major or local streets?
Both major and
They can-
local have fund balances.
They're separate ones,
They're
okay.
separate ones. We're looking at seeing if we can't combine the two streets, that's local and majors, into one fund. It'd be a lot easier for us to control.
The auditors have something to care about
The
that?
state, the state's starting a pilot program on that. You know, the city's under 100 miles. We got just under 48, so
Okay.
hopefully we can. It costs the same amount of money to do a major street as it does a local, but you gotta keep them separate and all that. It's
Right.
a lot of
Right.
bookwork.
Right.
Yeah, for a city this size, it seems kind
Oh,
of silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but if you put two funds together and you're putting money in there every year,
Yeah.
how do you keep track of what money came for which fund for, for what you're
Yeah,
allowed to
and-
spend
and
it on,
you-
right?
It's just right.
You
It's the same
transfer money
cost.
from one fund to the other, so what's the difference?
Right, right, exactly.
Our state will fund a $5 million study to figure that
No.
out.
Yeah, there you go, yeah. That's true.
But if you've got any questions on the street funds,
No. Looking good.
No, just keep doing it because it's making Gladstone look better and better every year. I think the citizens appreciate it.
Some.
Well, yes, I'd say
The
the
majority.
majority.
Yeah.
So what's next? Dr. Mary Cretans, is that just,
Okay, this is Dr. Mary Creedon, as everybody was talking, the money from the Dr. Mary Creedon's fund goes to cemetery, recreation, 4th of July, and improvements to the city. I'll get the new, Vicky makes up a really nice spreadsheet that shows where everything's gonna be spent for the year, but, we were still in the process of making that when she got sick, so if I gave you one, it'd have a lot of my bad comments on it. So, anyway, the encouraging thing is we got $160,000 this year, which with last year's market, we can see that smoothing actually helped us, because we.
I know we were complaining when everybody
Yeah,
was
we-
going
yeah.
sky high and we
Every
didn't
year,
know.
But then this year,
Yeah.
that's the best thing we ever did. So, in looking at what our fund balance will be at the end of this year, with we will still have about $309,000, which is way too much.
Mhm.
That we should probably have about $40,000 in there. And when I was thinking, since Vicki and I made this up, I think this would be something, a good place to fund the lifeguards out of, with that additional money.
Yeah.
That fund balance
That
is
makes
not
sense.
as great
Yep.
as it looks, because 155,000 of that is committed to our little savings account, 100,000 for the boardwalk and 55,000 for City Hall renovations. So we still have 154,000 in his fund balance, which was, initially that was our plan, was to keep a year's expenses in there in case we didn't have any money. But if we got 160,000 after last year, I think we can let that fund balance go down lower than that.
Yeah, the market losses last year were like 2008,
Yeah.
if you look at it. And so if we're talking, once in a 15-year downturn in the market.
Yeah, in 2008, we didn't get any money at all. I remember that. That was the year we decided we're going to keep a year's worth of fund balance in there. So if we don't get it, we can still run all our programs. So
Yeah, and I think funding the lifeguards, that's directly what this
Yeah.
fund was set up for. Stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
On the capital project, just 65,000. The 55,000 of that was into just the city hall,
yeah,
or just the fund, the kind of the renovation fund
yeah.
money we're setting
let's-
aside.
Kim
We
will
talked about that last
talk
night.
your ear off about, we call it her elevator, and
Right, yeah, we
and,
talked about that
and
last
we just
night.
thought it's time to start. I mean, the people voted, they wanted to keep this building, and I think we should, keep the building up and get the upstairs used in some way or another. It's- From there, we go to the EDC, and the EDC, as of right now, this is a tentative budget. The EDC, because of the timing of the meetings, they haven't approved a budget, but would be similar to the budget we did this year. So this is my best guess on what they'll approve. We need to sell some property to get more money in
Right.
there. And talking to Janice today, she wants the EDC to consider marketing that property a lot more aggressively so she can get a market value for the property up there, and that'll make our industrial tax base. We lost some value on that the last two tax years. So I'm going to bring that up to the EDC at the next meeting.
Is that just the industrial park, or do they have other property as well?
It's just the industrial park up on the bluff.
Okay.
Would you like to buy some?
Maybe.
There you go. New shop.
We do have one possible land sale. Gentleman's been in a couple times. He's looking at industrial storage. So, and we're hoping he buys a lot. I know you know Bob Boss from Boss.
Yeah.
He has a lot of storage over in Escanaba that
Okay.
he rents to the paper mill. So he's looking
Right.
at doing something similar over here.
Oh, that'd be okay.
Okay. Next up is the DDA, which Tricia is here to go over.
Hello.
Hello.
Hmm?
Oh, I said hello.
Hello. Sorry, my ears are still popped from my airplane ride.
Oh, that's okay.
And after the DDA, I wanted to swing back to Renee because I forgot her. 'Cause she was adamant about being here tonight. So she can cover community development.
Okay.
Okay, so as we were looking at budget planning this year, we realized that our revenue that we had expected for the current year was significantly down from what we had anticipated. So as we looked forward to next year, Vicki and Janice had given us some insight into it, and we decided to take a more conservative approach in planning. So with that reduced revenue that we're looking at for the DDA, we would be looking at pulling a fund balance of $94,381. And so that would actually leave our fund balance next year at $52,390. So keeping that in mind, that is lower than what the DDA is comfortable with. So as we were looking at what our major expenses would be this year, we're going to see that it's going to be administration. The Christmas celebration's going to stay the same. Farmers market's going to stay the same. And we actually bring in a lot of revenue with the farmers market. So it's really only about a $2,000 cost. But the big things that are going to wipe us out will be the 9th Street bond payment, the North Shore loan. Those are the two biggest things that will really just wipe us out in our revenue. So really the only project that we're planning on doing is replacing the sidewalk at the Farmers Market Square. Right now they're bricks and they're crumbling, and
Yes,
we
they
just
are.
want to get that resolved. But Barry said there's a few other projects that we can kick to next year. So yeah, really that's the only project we're looking at funding this year.
What was the cause of the decrease in capture?
So Vicki and Janice can speak to it a lot better than I can, but my understanding is that properties sold last year for less than their assessed value. And because of that, that reduced our revenue quite a bit. And then when is it equalized with the county, that also brought it down too.
Commercial properties took a big hit with the values, and then having a couple of sales come in well below what they were assessed at, in addition to the assessed values decreasing because of what the state deems them as. That was largely our biggest hit. In addition, purchasing the North Shore did take that large piece of property off of the tax roll, which was a direct impact to those numbers also. So it was about a $70,000 swing in revenue, which was unexpected. So
Yep.
I don't want to say we overspent a little this year in DVA, but we spent according to what we expected, and it did not end where it should have. So that's why you're seeing that our fund balance today as low as it did. The good news is that they are predicting that it's going to swing back. Janice's numbers don't get finalized until it's the end of this month. It's a little bit. It's a little bit after the budget is submitted. So we're hopeful that these numbers are very conservative based on worst case scenario. If the revenues do take a swing back, partly because of what the state is balancing and equalizing again, and then partially because of some growth that we've had. So hopefully, we're hoping that by this time next year, we'll be sitting in a better spot with our fund balance. And looking to do some projects again.
One of the problems in the commercial district was we had 2 or 3 sales, but they were arm's length transactions, and it's weird how the price is a lot cheaper than if it went through a bank. Not calling anybody out on anything, but that's what happened, and they were big pieces of property.
That is true. I know the piece of property by my place in Escanaba sold, and it was substantially less than they had listed it a couple of years ago. Like 6 figures less they sold it for.
In a small community like ours, if business sells for $300,000 less than what it's valued at, that's a big hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know it doesn't sound, it's great for the person getting it for under market value, but that's what we saw, so.
Okay. So what else?
Did you want to talk about community development?
I'd like
Sorry.
to, and then I have to skip out of here
Okay.
to present to the Kiwanis. But mine is pretty easy. If you look at, the one thing I wanted to point out is that my department, I always tease the girls in the office about this, that my department looks like it costs more than the treasurer and the clerk. But if you offset it with the revenue that,
What page are you?
I'm trying to find it. It's the one with the baby on it, I think. Eric took it out of order, so there it
Yeah,
is.
right.
Baby says general fund summary.
Well, that's just the
Go to
summary.
the first page, the
Yeah.
City Hall one has.
So when you're looking at that, it looks like I'm a little bit higher, but if you look at the revenue, that's on the other column.
Oh, okay,
The one with the picture of City Hall.
okay.
The revenue that we bring in is largely from the rental inspections and some fines for property maintenance that we do. We try not to fine people too often, but Patricia does that part of the job for us, and we find that after several attempts to get people to move, sometimes just that $50 fine makes them do things that we couldn't get them to do otherwise. So unfortunately, some people only learn that way. But the only big difference in my department as far as budgeting, we actually decreased our part-time salary line item. You may have noticed that. That's largely because Patricia has taken on the DDA position. So right now I'm understaffed with code enforcement. Don't tell the community. But we're using her to do both right now, but her hours are being pulled from my department and billed and charged to the DDA. So we're gonna see how that works for a while, and hopefully as budgets make a comeback, we can look to fill that position to get it back up to speed. And hopefully we stay above board on some of that stuff. I've seen better movement in the code enforcement area and as well with our rental inspections in the last year and a half with Jerry and Patricia on board. They're doing a really good job in those things. So rentals, I've probably always been about a year and a half behind since Howard retired. We've been about a year and a half behind on rental inspections. We're currently up to date on those. So if anybody says they didn't know they were supposed to get an inspection, they're wrong. We've been staying on top of those now. So kudos to Jerry in that. He does a good job. And then with code enforcement, I hope that you've noticed it's been a little bit better. Patricia works really well with the different departments. Barry's been doing sidewalks pretty regular. We just have a good system in place. She's modernized a lot of the stuff that we do, so it works out really well. Those are really only the big changes in my department. Everything else is pretty much status quo, just the minimum increases that were required with contracts and some small increases in, I guess you call them cost of living things that go up. So long wait for my little 2 minutes, but.
It's well worth
It's
it.
hard to keep you waiting.
I do want to say one thing. Patricia is putting together a year-end report for us on code enforcement, and the Planning Commission will have a year-end report also. We're going to do it with the fiscal year, so hopefully that'll be out in April. So we'll be able to showcase at one of the meetings some of the higher end projects that we've been working on. So
I noticed the pigeons are having withdrawal symptoms.
they did get boarded up. Yes.
It's like, you walk by there and they're like, wow,
They look so sad,
my babies
right?
are in there.
There's a bunch of them around.
You what?
I lost some sleep about
Oh, did you? Pounding on the wooden slats.
So I have to go twist the koala's arms to get some money on it.
Okay, have fun. Thank you.
Okay, getting back to,
Debt service?
we would be on the debt service, the page with all the money on it. This is the 9th Street,
Yeah.
9th Street bond project. We run, so money gets run through, and you can see that we're paying back actually about we pay back what is owed, and then we've been transferring to fund balance, and the fund balance has been we've been putting in CDs and whatnot, and then that fund balance will shorten the payment schedule. So,
Any of those CDs coming due? Or is that stuff that Bob's doing through First
Yeah.
Bank?
I know there's some good ones out there.
There's some good ones out there right now.
Yeah, and
Because the
that's-
landfill just did those ones. They got a really good rate on those
over 4.
at Peninsula.
So, after that comes, speaking of landfill, solid waste.
Okay. Solid waste, we're, no big purchases this year. The only, thing we're doing in the last 3 years is, $11,500 for new cans. The cans we got now are 11 years old. The life expectancy about be 15 years. They were under warranty for 10, so, we're just going through and replacing it as they break instead of some communities will go through and do the whole.
Mm.
But that's a big undertaking, and why replace a can if you can still get a year?
Do you want to tell everybody the great kicker on those cans?
What's that?
You can't recycle them, right?
No.
They go into the landfill.
Yeah.
The recycled cans go into the landfill.
Yeah.
Every time I walk down there, I look at those and I'm trying to think of an idea how you can reuse
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, for something,
Make wheel
yeah.
Everybody
cars.
wants some.
Ay, ay, ay.
That's crazy.
Well, one of the guys down at the work shop actually had a good idea there, and they're actually going to look at it. He says maybe we can cut them off in half and give them out for raised gardens. You know?
Yeah, I was.
I was gonna say like a planter.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a planter for
Yeah.
I don't know. Somebody might want one.
Otherwise, we got to pay to get rid of them.
Yeah, instead of throwing them away, but.
Yeah.
Other than that, I believe this year, increase of 2.9% or 3%, right around 3%, that goes with the study we had done a few years ago.
Yep.
But other than that, you know, it's just gonna be business as usual.
Equipment's running good.
Yeah.
You could use the recycling ones that were out for green burials.
There you go.
Oh, boy.
That one just popped in my head.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know if you have any questions,
Good
but
Just put bodies in the recycled cans. Oh God.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to the electric fund.
You want me to do this, or?
Might as well go one last time.
All right.
If you look on my news and donuts, well, no, it's Skip and Paul are both retiring. Well,
Hey, does that give the new guy confidence?
Invest in new home generators.
I sell
I sell it.
No, but that is it's a big loss. That's 65 years of experience.
Yeah.
You guys.
So for one last time, going through the income, it looks fairly steady as to this year. Don't see any big jumps. You can see the capital projects. The AMI meters are $110,000 for this year, and that will be the final installment. And we are part of a grant application with 16 other municipals around the state. I think Eric brought it up last night where they don't want to give money for small projects, so we made them a big project.
Okay, yeah.
And,
You're part of that.
If that comes through, that 110 will be taken care of.
Oh, thanks.
So we're doing all the paperwork and stuff that needs to be done, and they'll see what happens, as I won't be around for it, but hopefully that
We'll
Works
invite
out well.
you to a party for it.
okay. I'll come back for that. And on capital projects, the $50,000 a year for line clearance, I think we got to keep that up That's working well.
Absolutely.
It's saving our
It is.
bacon many times.
Yep.
And the, for the 5-year capital improvement plan, 150,000 to, replace poles, and generally, we had them do a lot of general contract work last year too. They took down a lot of abandoned lines that we were never getting to. So they took a lot of useless stuff out of the air, and it just makes your system stronger. Less stuff to fall down. A lot of it was, in fact, falling down. And in the substation, we've got a second set of regulator controls, and we have to finish up on the SCADA install. That came in a lot higher than we thought it was going to be. So I pushed that back till next year. But that should take care of that substation for quite a while until you want to start replacing power transformers. And last year, you might remember, we did 3 sides of the building out here.
Yeah.
And we wanted to keep the front of it Renee's Victorian, whatever it was, their thing. And now that we got the other 3 sides done, the front side looks like it should be replaced.
Yeah.
So there's 25 grand for the front of the building and new carpeting for the office addition, which is in pretty horrible shape. No rate increase. And you see by the end of 24 and 3/31/24, we are still at 2.973 million, which is still higher than we should be. We've got that policy we enacted last year. It's a formula about that long.
Yeah,
But-
I think we're supposed to be like 1.75.
Yeah, 1.8-ish, I remember. Also, in the various departments, street lighting, consumer services, line maintenance, pretty much all of them, I have put extra money in there for wage increases. Last year, we advertised for a journeyman lineman, because we knew with the upcoming retirements, we got 0 applicants. And we've done a lot of wage studies. I've got them, Eric's got them. And we are quite a bit, our journeyman rate is quite a bit low. I've just picked a number out of my hat and budgeted a $5 an hour increase for 4 people for a year. So it's basically $50,000 split up between them, the sub-departments. So, any questions?
Any projects that you guys see coming up where you want to maybe focus on using up some fund balance? I mean, is there something that's great to see the pole replacements that, that's taking place.
Yeah.
Very much needed.
The power transformers in the substation are of a suspect design. Our engineer laughed when he walked in there, because
Really?
when they're heavily loaded, they do not last. Luckily, ours aren't. But if one of them goes out of service for some reason, and we have to use the one remaining, all of a sudden it is pretty heavily loaded. So he's recommending at least replacing one here in the next 3 or 4 years. And that's $600,000 the last time I looked.
Okay.
That goes up about $50,000 a year, so.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's gonna be something here in the next 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
That's just the transformer, right? So,
That's installed.
That's installed?
That's purchasing, getting it here, having it
okay.
hooked up, and all the engineering that goes with that.
You guys wouldn't happen to need a police car, would you?
Just get a magnetic sticker. You can put electric department on it, pull it off, and it says public safety underneath.
Okay. Skip. Next up is wastewater department.
With the rate study that we had there a couple years ago, we're looking at a 6.9% increase on the 5/8 inch meters, which would bring the readiness to serve from $29 to $31, and then the commodity from $10.50 to $11.20. That'll increase our revenue from last year in the sewer charge revenue and the Masonville Township revenue by about $270,000. As you can see down on the fund balance, we're going to be transferring $325,000 to fund balance to give us a total of $590,000, and then that's going to start getting eaten up a little bit by our payments for our SRF loan. So on an average customer using 5,000 gallons, it'd be an increase of $5.52 per month. As far as our expenses go this year, I do not have anything budgeted for capital outlay. I do have an increase in our lab expenses. Instead of putting lab equipment onto the bond, we're just going to purchase that out of our lab equipment department because they're not going to last 30 years.
Okay.
So there's no sense in
Paying interest.
paying, yes. By the end of next year, they should be, I'm hoping, around 80% complete with the project. And it's supposed to wrap up in November of 2024. So we're kind of keeping a low profile as much as we can with everything going on down at the plant this year.
On the rates, Rodney, I meant to look at the rate studies. Is this the third 6% or?
This would be the first 6.9% raise. Last year we increased it by, it was almost 30%, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I know from that study, and I know you heard it a lot from Dawn Lund saying that once we get there, we just can't go back to zero. We gotta keep up with at least the rate of inflation a little bit higher. The increases don't have nothing to do with the future project that we're doing yet, and I believe we talked, not at last night's commission meeting, but the one before, that if we did get that loan and we were looking at 75% forgiveness, that would be an increase of about 16 to 17% for that bond.
For that.
Yeah.
The, under expenses, the lift station, is that about 28,000, is that just maintenance, or is that a certain
Yeah, that's,
project that you have
no,
done?
we don't have any projects going
that's
on at
just-
the lift stations. That's, we check, we have 9 lift stations in town and we have 5 in Rapid that we check twice a week.
Okay.
And then that'd be maintenance performed there, unplugging pumps and. I did do a little, I know Eric asked me, I think it was today, on the percent of wastewater charges per the medium annual household income. And they look at that 2% to be pretty much the max. And we're currently, with this increase, we'd be at about 1.9%.
big investment, but goes a long time into the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that is completely the right words, the way to explain it, though. I know if you're doing a RD loan, that your wastewater rates
Have to be at least 2%, otherwise they won't give you a loan.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think we're a little high, but we're not blowing, we're not
They're going on
Yeah,
way
we're not
crazy.
crazy. There will be a rate study coming out here, I'm assuming in the next couple weeks, from the UP, AWWA, I think, does it? Or Eagle does it. So they get, all the communities in the UP send them our data, and then they compare it from 2017 to 2022, and it'll be a nice, I guess, eye-opener to see where we're at
Yeah.
within the UP, but
Well, that would vary quite a bit depending on, like, we had, the rate increase to pay back the loan, right?
Yes.
We had to do that if every community is not building new state.
yeah, I mean, you're gonna see.
Treatment station.
I know I got an email from Tom Flaminio today, and he
That's
just
good.
wanted to make sure my numbers were correct. Because from 17 to 22, we went up 107%.
Right.
So I'd expect to see that probably at the spring meetings, would be my guess in May.
I hope they note on there that,
About
the
the
communities
storm.
that have done that.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
they do for years. Manistee was the bad dog and family.
They were always on the leaderboard. Now,
Yeah.
I know Munising I think Munising rates are a little higher than ours, but we're catching them in a bad way, I guess.
Where are some of those other communities as far as, like, where we were a couple years ago with having to replace the whole plant? Are any of them coming, are their treatment plants overdue for
I know-
replacement, reconstruction?
Manistee is actually, they had a project this year, and it came in way over bid. So I don't know if they're going on with their project, but that would add to what they were already at. I know Escanaba, they just spent 17 million on their plant, I believe, or 18 million. Yeah, so I know Munising, they're pretty much set. They've been doing a lot of work up there on the collection system and their water mains, but everything they have is under, a lot of it is under state roads. So MDOT covers a lot of that, the pavement and everything
Right.
else, the reconstruction.
Well, we hear enough from you all the time, so moving on.
Perfect.
Okay, Rob?
Starting with income, not much difference there. We're in the fourth year of the rate study. And since the bulk of our rates that are revenue comes from the 5/8 meters, we adjust those right away within the first 2 years. So the increase is only going to be on the large meters, so provide a small increase to the sales customer number. Fire protection number will go up this year, so it'll be the first year that will be at the full new fire protection rates. And on that note, Barry gave me a good idea, and just want to run it by the commission now, that currently only water customers are paying that fire protection fee.
Okay.
But that really should be paid by everyone within city limits that's within the area of those fire hydrants and the water system.
Right.
May want to address that.
Explain that.
Well, right now,
It's only
on the
being
water
paid
bill,
by-
there's a fire protection
Right.
fee that goes off the size of the meter you have in your house. However, in places like your neighborhood, but there's,
No water meter?
there's no water meters because houses up there have wells. However, they're surrounded by a fire protection system.
Right, there's a fire hydrant at the end of my driveway.
Yeah. You just nailed it. So,
Okay.
we're looking at other,
I vote no.
possible revenue, and there's all this talk about, storm
Yeah.
for him and assessment.
Okay, you want some too, huh?
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Okay, I see what you're saying. So,
okay, so we can move on from that.
No, we want to discuss it more.
moving on.
We want to vote on it right now.
So anyway, we look at expenses, new line construction. That number comes from the 18,000 that goes to the Ninth Street bond payment from the water department. Budgeted 175,000 to cover expenses for the water main project down there. I think they added some cushion to that because, well, we approved last night for the grant, it'd be 130 to put in.
Right.
Some of the materials were purchased this year. There's still some materials to put in, plus any of the DPW department's labor, gravel, that kind of thing will come out of that number. Administrative, that number looks kind of high, but it's the high notes, rule notes there. There's a $114,000 payment to defined benefit, about $48,000 for health insurance, $46,000 administrative fees to City Hall, and then $97,000 towards depreciation. Safety, really not much different there going on. Same thing with meter reading and billing. Consumer service, big things there would be we contract out our cross connection control, that's about 8,600, and then I always have a hard time hitting this number, and Eric told me in the past he had a hard time hitting it, and now it's even a little more difficult with the state of Michigan, like copper rules, but I put 12,000 towards capital outlay, which used to be just laterals, but now it's like lateral work and service line. So that's in there. Let's see, line maintenance, usually in there, that I usually plan for one sort of main break a year plus parts, whether it be, I know this year we purchased some IMAC repair sleeves. Big number here, reservoir and elevated tank. That number comes from, we didn't get the tower painted last year. Again, kept that number high in case we have to encapsulate the tank during painting. The good news is on that, it's looking like we can skirt that.
What are you gonna do it at night?
Yeah, there's gonna be ways where we're gonna have we've been talking, we're gonna have like a construction plan for that and documenting when the blasting takes place, also work with Barry for closing off 29th Street. The other good news is we already purchased on this year's budget, we purchased the paint, and it's already stored at the water plant. So we already made that purchase and another payment that we had to make. So put in around 24,000 towards that project this year. So it's kind of weird having these two projects that are going to kind of overlap on budget years, but just trying to coordinate contractors and materials. Meter maintenance, not much different there. Plant O&M, that number's high because about 100,000 of that will go towards replacing granular activated carbon. Granular activated carbon we have in place right now is actually the longest batch we've had. It's coming up on.
You recycle it how many times?
You know, you recycle it. They think once we had different batches, it's the thing they haven't gotten. We have a new rep, same company, but
Okay.
new rep, so the old guy, he'd sell me carbon yesterday. The new ones, I don't know why they're dragging their feet. It's a big purchase, I don't know if they're having a hard time. It is made from coal, so it might be hard to get hold of. Anyway, I'm budgeting $400,000 for that, and I asked for it to be quoted as either virgin or regen, like we always do.
Right, that was in the cycle.
Yeah, this last batch that we had, I think was around 80,000. It was regen, and it's coming up on 2 years, which we're really happy about that we got that long of life out of it. So we're hoping for.
It seems like the initial removals weren't as good, but the longevity was unbelievable.
Yeah. So we're getting good longevity. The other thing too is that first batch of regen we had really didn't get a fair shake because of some circumstances. One, Eagle wanted us to kind of change the way we treated to see how that would work, and we knew that it wasn't going to.
Couldn't
But we
work.
thought, well, the only way they're going to listen to us is if we do it, and we did that, and looked okay the first quarter, but when the second quarter numbers came up, we called and said, hey, it's not doing us any favors. And I said, what do you mean it's not doing you any favors? So it's the worst results we've had on our certain. And they were like, oh, yeah, go ahead, change back. We changed back for a little while longer, and in the meantime, we had our clear well down for 3 months rather than a month, and during that time, we also had to pre-chlorinate, which again, we were really killing
it.
So we're happy we got 2 years out of this last batch anyway. So that's big. The other expense in that would be we're budgeting $20,000 to have one of our high service pumps rebuilt. Pumps were on a rotation. I don't know how we got out of it. The last 2 high service pumps were rebuilt. The most recent rebuilt was 07, and then one previously 05. Somehow we missed this one, and now we have a pump that needs to be rebuilt. We got a quote from Northern Machine for 17. These are nice pumps. There's our original 1970s Al's Chalmers pumps. They go forever. So we'd like to stay with those, but getting a rebuilt would be around 17,000, so we budgeted 20 because, well, we never know what we're going to run into. After that, everything's kind of same, really no highlights in there. We didn't put too much in the hydrant this year since we're going to get 1 new hydrant and actually 2 new hydrants. One will be a new one in the system, the other one will be replaced, and that'll all be part of the line replacement over here for the facility. And one more thing, only about 5,000 in administrative. That's for pursuing an SRF loan like Rodney has that would be used to build a new intake at the plant and complete a transmission main. I know we talked about that in the
Yep.
commission meetings ago. So I think that wraps it up. Questions?
What's the time frame on that SRF?
Right now,
Different than the wastewater ones.
so yeah, this is all new to me. Right now, originally this fall we did the intent to apply, and now we're at the okay, you can apply. So we're working with Coleman to get that application. So right now, working with Scott, getting information from the plant, the numbers from Patty, give to him so it can make us look disadvantaged. And so it's a numbers game. We were on the phone today talking about that, the way the different formulas are, how to go about doing it. So I answered some questions for them today. So it's coming along. Definitely going to have to keep all of the loop on that.
You have to bring Lampy in to figure out how he got, what did he get,
When I talked to Lampy about it, it made me think a lot of his stories about the blackjack table. Like,
put down 40,000, but I ended up getting 20 million.
It's like, wow, I handed over my retirement funds.
That's kind of a what's the word they call it? Drastically disadvantaged or overburdened.
Significantly overburdened. We're just overburdened.
All right.
Ready to move on to the harbor?
How many more you want to do tonight?
What'd you say?
How many more you want to go?
We're
It's 7
just about
o'clock.
done.
Okay. What was that?
That's okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't, yeah.
Perpetual care is a very fast, rock water
Okay.
fast.
Okay.
Okay,
Well, hang in there.
all right.
There's
4 or 5 should be real quick.
not much different change with the harbor, or not anything really drastic. The only thing really, you'll see that grant, for that grant number for $5,034. That's from the pump out grant that we got last year that we won't close. We can't close it out until we install it this spring, so that's why it'll go in there this year. So the seasonal dockage is all it's all booked up. All the slips are taken. We have actually a waiting list. I think there's 26 on it last time I looked at it. So we have a pretty long waiting list for the docks. Gas and oil sales kind of been about the same every year. They kind of match up with our costs almost. We make a little bit of money off of it, but not much. Yeah, and nothing's really. I mean, we're kind of stuck with our income unless we switch tiers on our dockage fees. But
Are we allowed to do that? Aren't we tied into that through some,
no, the state of Michigan sets tiers for those dock fees.
right?
And I believe we're at tier 7 right now, but we can move up. I just gotta tell them every.
Okay. I
when they-
remember
when they-
those tiers when we set the rates, but we can adjust that.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we do reporting, or when we, I usually file the paperwork in the fall and just tell them what tier we're at if we want to change, or we gotta do with our transient docks. We just gotta let them know what we're charging, what tier we pick every year. So. And then our expenses, I think Eric and Vicky got sick of filling these out, so he just put administrative. so it's.
I was getting down to the end.
This is a good last pages.
I know that this one was just before I went home, and it was a little later at night. I'm gonna put administration, I'll split it up in the morning. And must have started on the next one.
Yeah, so I mean, it's an enterprise fund like all
Yeah.
these other ones, so it matches obviously the income. So
Right. Perpetual care, that one looks even easier. $8,500.
Oh, yeah. Bingo.
Okay, perpetual care fund. Barry, would you like to?
For each lot we sell, I can't remember right offhand, I don't have it right in front of me, but for each lot we sell, a certain amount goes for the lot sale, and a certain amount goes into the perpetual care fund to take care of the cemetery. Over the years, basically, work out the interest. And we've actually been doing pretty good as far as perpetual care revenue. We've been selling a lot of lots up there, so we're looking at $2,500 of those lot sales going into perpetual care with $1,000 in interest with a total income of $3,500. And transfer to general fund $1,000 and transfer to fund balance $2,400. So we actually got a pretty good fund balance in there, almost
Yeah,
300,000.
yeah, I was looking at it.
Perpetual care, so
Can that be utilized for anything?
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be used for maintenance of the cemetery.
What about a roof on the chapel?
I don't know if it can be used for that.
Okay.
Lifeguards,
Patrol the cemetery.
Since
Creative.
Mary Creedence covers the cemetery pretty well.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
perpetual care hasn't needed to use that, so.
Which we invest that and, use the earnings off of that to offset costs at the cemetery.
Okay. Did somebody break out the thesaurus for the news and notes?
What's that?
News or notes, continuing forever, everlasting, occurring continually, constant, perpetually. It must have been getting late on these pages.
And I just thought, what does perpetual really mean? And so I Googled it, and so I just.
Oh, it's getting late.
Okay, Maple Ridge water, rock water as we call it. Dave goes up once a month and reads the meters, and we run it through our system, and we bill them. And it was originally set up back governor ago, and we were looking for credit for having shared projects
Right.
with other communities, and I guess what's going to happen is when we get to the new water meter heads and the automatic reads, Rock's going to slip away and be on their own. So,
Either that or when the contract's up, whatever.
yeah.
Did you take that picture from your truck?
That's actually, I got that off the internet, and then I found out today that's from Judy's porch.
No kidding.
Yeah. And last but not least is the retirement system, the MERS retirement system. We built this up, and so we don't have to take as much out of the funds every few years. And I think Vicky's plan was to build this up to our peak year, and then our peak year won't be as much to finally pay off, and then we'll drop again.
Yeah.
So it's money good. We have 370. We'll have 372,000 in there at the end of this year. So. And that is
All
everything.
right.
So we want, these numbers are locked in for Vicky. She's the only one that can change them. And if we talked about some changes tonight,
Yeah.
if any of them are changed, they'll be red lined through and put in red.
Oh, good.
And so,
Okay.
other than that, they're gonna stay exactly the way they are in both documents.
We talked about the lifeguards.
Lifeguards, yeah.
And I don't think anything else, any other changes.
What do you think of, yeah.
Right, but
Yeah.
that's nothing that's gonna affect this
Yeah.
budget, but look at that stormwater thing, and if we can address that at rate time, and
Yeah.
the public safety assessment district, or millage, what way we need to go on that, I definitely think it's time to look at that. I mean, last year, we saw what it was, and we gotta keep up on that, and keep up on our infrastructure, and just have to do it. And
Yeah, either way, it'll be a learning experience, and
You're right.
in talking with Kim.
At least we'll get some
today,
answers.
We're looking at a millage. Yeah, right now, we'd be looking at the fall millage, so
Yeah.
have to start rolling on her, getting the wording started.
Yeah. So, well, thank you all for
Yeah.
putting that together. Thank you for tightening the belts again. I know it's never fun, and you've done, I feel you've all done a very good job of keeping things going and keeping the city on the right track, and it makes it easy for us. I know I go on the radio Eric joins me pretty often, and I get a good response from that. People, I was just having lunch today. I was telling Greg I sat with some folks at Rotary in Escanaba, and they said but you gotta send somebody over from Gladstone to straighten out Escanaba. So, I think everybody's doing a good job, so, thank you.
I
So-
appreciate you're able to have a sense of humor over some of these things. It saves you on the end of the day. Thank you.
So,
All right.
That's it. Thanks, y'all.
Everybody knows what perpetual is.
That's right.
Everybody knows perpetual.
Everlasting, continually. I'm gonna walk out the door with this side.
No meeting tomorrow.
Right, that'll be good.
Done, done.
No February 29th.
No,
That's
nope,
right.
no, see, we could,
It's a good thing.
just take that one off the schedule.
I still tease Kim about that. She still doesn't think it's funny.
I bet you did. I think it's wonderful. She needs her sense of humor too. Whoopsie, sorry.
Yeah, so, a couple minutes longer, but
I'd like to see that ice rink come back.